Uh, Sorry about that, folks. My computer was going slow and it crashed, so I had to um reboot my computer and start back the live again. So let's begin from the top. Pause. No, again, no, come on.
Causing a lot of controversy in more than just one way.
All right, so this is the Fung Bros. This is their channel. I'm reviewing their content. Now, to start off this video, I want to see what the Asian, especially with Asian men, I want to see how they feel, what their thoughts, if it's really coming from a racist point of view or is it coming from an objective point of view. And I want to know how they feel, how they think. Um, my overall consensus, I don't think the Asian men are coming from a racist point of view. I think the Asian men want to actually get a representation of their masculinity and their image corrected out there, or representation of their image out there properly when it comes to video games and when it comes to media and when it comes to movies. Which I understand that point of view because black men, we've been trying to do the same for a very long time, especially here in Western culture or in American media where um in media, especially with Hollywood and dealing with white supremacy here in the with Jim Crow, the 80s, and etc. It has been big business with American Western media to break the black male's image. You know what I'm saying? Where, where in Africa, they've tried to whitewash Africa. They've tried to Arab wash Egypt and Ethiopia. They've knocked off the noses off of the sphinxes and all that other good stuff. Where they basically tried to erase black men from history and what we have done in Africa and across the globe. So I understand where Asian men can be coming from. I don't think it's really a racist thing. I don't think that's the general consensus of Asian men. I think the general consensus of Asian men has been trying to get a proper representation of their masculinity and their image out there, which I agree to that because, as I said earlier, black men, we've been going through that too. So I want to see what Asian men think. So let's start with this. This is a channel by the Fung Bros. Like, share, and subscribe to them. I'm gonna check out their channel, and let's start off from here.
Yeah, a lot of people are not happy about it. Let's run some clips.
So we got our first.
So now the first video you guys led with is with this black guy character. I have to call that out because you could have let it. You could have led this video with. You could have led this video showcasing how Asian men felt about the video. You could have led this video how white American media felt about the video, but you led this video with with two black people leading the video, two black faces leading the video. This person, and I think after this is going to be Tyrone Magnus. But let's listen to what this brother got to say. Now, as a so-called black male in America, I do want to hear points of view from black men, even if we disagree. So as black men, we can still be brothers, we can still be allies, but still have our disagreements about certain topics. So let's see what this brother has to say.
Look at the new Assassin's Creed game, and I gotta say, man, I'm not impressed. I'm actually just really annoyed right now. We have two main protagonists, one female, one male.
And he has a right to be annoyed. Let's see what's his premise.
Just like Odyssey, I'm gonna be using Neo. I hope I said that right. A female Japanese character, and for the male character, they're gonna be using Yasuke. Now, I'm annoyed because they're using Yasuke, and I'm gonna tell you why. Yasuke is what they want to say is the first black Japanese samurai, when in all actuality, he was not even a samurai. He was a retainer. So he wasn't even a full-blown samurai. And for all of the characters they could have used for Japan, all of these kind of different people they could have picked from, they picked Yasuke. Why do they pick Yasuke? Because he's black. So instead of using a Japanese man in a game based in Japan, like they did with the other Assassin's Creed games, But in this game, you want to demote a Japanese man and then use Yasuke. They did this for brownie points. I can't.
Okay, now let's break down something he said. He said that um he said a thought that it's not his original thought. He said that let's go
Think
back
of
to it.
any other reason. This doesn't. Why do they pick Yasuke? The first black Japanese samurai, when in all actuality, he was not even a samurai. He was a retainer. So he wasn't even a full blown samurai.
Okay. That's not his original thought. That is a thought being said by a lot of the incels of the white male gaming community that you see complaining about this, or you see in a lot of see it in a lot of Reddits, you see it in a lot of Steam, um, I think Steam blogs or whatever. That's not his original thought. That is what's being said on Twitter to discredit Yasuke. Now let's go look up what a retainer is according to Japanese. According to the Japanese, let's look up what a retainer is. Retainer armor, which is similar to what Yasuke has on. Retainer armor from Japan, age collected by Edbert Hewitt. So this is the guy that collected it, and it's in the museum. It's in the museum now, right? This is a suit of retainer armor. Retainer refers to a vessel in feudal Japan, usually a samurai providing military service. So this is why it's not his original thought. And he said that he wasn't a full blown samurai. Well, even though he wasn't a full blown samurai, he was still a samurai. Right? Retainer refers to a vessel in feudal Japan, usually a samurai providing military service. Now, let's go back to go back to breaking down that video. Now, I agree with that. And I've spoken on that in previous videos. Um, Oftentimes they use black men's faces uh, to push agendas. And now, when it's coming from a woke leftist liberal, which I despise liberals, I hate white liberals because they tend to use. I hate white liberals when it comes to black culture and black men and black faces because they tend to use our image to push whatever their agendas are. And I dislike that. That's what I dislike about white liberals, or one of the things I dislike about white liberals and the liberal media, is they like to push black men to push their liberal agendas or to push their LGBT agendas or to push whatever agenda they're pushing that is leftist. That is not what black men during Jim Crow, during the 60s, during the Malcolm X era, during the pro-black era were trying to push. See what I'm saying? So what the liberal media tends to do with a black male face, because our face is very black men, we are very popular. Like black men, our masculinity is dominant. Our everything about our energy screams dominancy, screams leading, screams the epitome of what masculinity is supposed to be. Right? So the liberals tend to use that image to push their agenda. No, the reason why this guy would have an issue with that, him being black, I have no idea. Because they've been pushing white male protagonists in Japanese video games, and you never had this energy for that. To this guy Kaeda, you've never had that energy for white male protagonists being pushed on Japanese media games. But like Noi or which I'm going to go into and go through as I progress in this live video. You've never had that issue. So the energy you have for this, you didn't have an energy for when it was white male protagonists culturally appropriating Japanese culture. Now I understand him saying they're using him because he's black. I get that. But the tones, the tone in which he chooses to say this in, it doesn't sound like somebody like me who would say it, or somebody like in black culture that said that has a tone of where we don't like how our black image is being used to push other people's agenda. This sounds like a white incel speaking, in my opinion, because his thought at that moment right there is how a lot of the white incels in the white male gaming community talk. This is how that sounds. Let's continue. Now, I agree with that sentiment. I agree that if you were asking for an Assassin's Creed in Japan, you're expecting to see Japanese male protagonists. You're expecting to see Japanese male protagonists. And with Assassin's Creed Valhalla and Assassin's Creed Odyssey, you had Eivor, who was a male, and you could play Eivor as a female. In Assassin's Creed Odyssey, you could play Cassandra, or you could play her brother, right? And I think in Assassin's Creed Syndicate, it was the same brother sister type thing. So I agree with that. That Assassin's Creed did do that, did play that line. And if you're a Japanese male or you're an Asian male and you're trying to see a proper Asian male representation, you will want to see something set in Japan that represent Japanese male protagonists. Here's the issue I have with that. Let's look up Assassin's Creed Origins. Assassin's Creed Origins. Because you didn't have that issue with Assassin's Creed Origins. Assassin's Creed Origins. Let's look at this. Did you have that same energy for Assassin's Creed Origins? Because Egypt, if you look up the Sudanese, if you look up the Nubians, if you look up the Nile River, if you look up the Sumerians, it is a known fact now that a lot of the ancient Egyptians were indeed my complexion and the brother's complexion that you see was talking. Where was your energy for that with this game? This is Egypt, Africa, an African continent that's predominantly dark complexion. If you go do up your history, right? And the Arabs did not come into conquering Egypt until like the 1800s or the 18th centuries. Before that, you had the Nile River. Before that, you had the Sudanese. Like I said, you had the Nubians. The Greeks referred to the Egyptians as people with burnt skin, and I might go into a little bit of that, right? But you never had that same energy for Assassin's Origin, which is based in Africa, which is technically an African Assassin's Creed. Why didn't they put a black protagonist in here? Even if you want to make the argument that the Egyptians were a diverse, was in a diverse setting, then why would you not put a dark skin or a bronze skin character in Assassin's Creed's Origin? Why did you not have that same energy for this? Okay, let's go back to the video. Okay, so the first brother, he said it's pandering. He said, "Do you know why they're doing it?" He should explain why they were doing it, and he should have said why it was pandering. That's why he should have said it. He didn't go into a reason why it was pandering. He didn't go into a reason why it was oh, you know what they're doing. What they were doing. No, you can no, I can agree that it is pandering, and I can agree that I know why it's doing it, which is what Tyrone Magnus is going to go into here, and I agree because I said it earlier. Correction, Tyrone Magnus, black. When you say person of color, that's a broad term. It can mean anything. It can mean because person of color, they could have put a white one there. That's of color. They could have put a Japanese female up there, a yellow Japanese man up there. That's a person of color. They could have put a Egyptian man up there. That's a person of color. They could have put a Arab man up there. That's a person of color. The Japanese female, no, she's a person of color. So that's a broad term, just to let you know that Tyrone Magnus. So the proper term would be so-called black. The reason why I say so-called black is because black is a Dutch European construct that the Europeans created to dehumanize a people and make them unlawful or not attached to their national landmass or their birthplace. That's why I say so-called black, right? Because black is a color crayon. It really boils down to your nationality and your landmass. So I either say so-called black or people of darker hue, as I would say, or more melanated hue. But you can't. But you should be more specific. Is it a black guy or is it people of color? So we got to be very careful about the words and language we use because they mean something, especially in the court of law and in everyday general term of use. So let's go. I believe that's Cap Tyrone Magnus. Now, Tyrone Magnus, I agree with your argument. I agree with your talking point that, you know, they always try to use a so called black person to, sell a game, sell a product, sell an image. And the reason why that is because black men, as I said, we emit and elude masculinity, right? And I agree with you. Our image should not be used to sell other people's culture or culturally appropriate other people's culture. And you're correct. You don't have to support everything that your own culture does, especially if you disagree with it. Because I don't support everything that so-called black culture does. Because it doesn't represent my morals or my principles or where I thought that black culture was supposed to be going during the era of Malcolm X, the Black Panthers, the Civil Rights Movement, the Nation of Islam, because during that time we were supposed to be going into a direction of more dignified, more proud, more upstanding, more honorable black folks. You know what I'm saying? When we take LGBT and where black culture is now in the debauchery it's being dysfunctional. It's going against what pro-black was really fighting for during the 60s, during Jim Crow, during the 80s and the 90s, right? I agree with that, but Tyrone Magnus, you're an anime fan. You have anime figures of Dragon Ball Z and anime characters that have white male protagonists in the shows. Did you have that same end for those characters when they were coming up? Remember Tyrone Magnus? I'm 32 years old, so I don't know if you're older or younger than me. We were raised watching Japanese anime characters, white male protagonists in animes, white male protagonists in movies set in Japan, like Rambo, Dolph Lundgren. We grew up watching these things. And we didn't have the energy for that. We didn't call it woke. We didn't say that it was a white male pushing themselves on other people's culture to sell their product because Hollywood and the gaming industry has a body of work doing that. Had that same energy before, but you're having the same energy now. You know what I'm saying? That's my main pushback with other black folks that are in the gaming industry is that we accepted when it was white male protagonists and Japanese male protagonists in anime, in gaming, in the movies, and in movies. We accepted it. It was a normal thing, and I'm going to get into that a bit later. And we did not. And there was never Tyrone. There weren't people like Tyrone Magnus or myself that had an issue with these things. No, or had that energy for for that type of stuff. You see what I'm saying? Black folks who grew up watching Naruto. We grew up watching Jackie Chan and Jet Li. We grew up watching these things. RDC World, check their channel out. RDC World, they do a black version or black what you call version of a lot of the Japanese animes that we grew up watching. You know what I'm saying? And we never had an issue with any white male protagonist. We were calling it cultural appropriation or woke. See what I'm saying? So that's my pushback with this Tyrone Magnus. I still respect you as my brother, though. And I do agree with your point. Two things can be true at the same time. I do agree with what you're saying. The thing is that this energy was not there preceding this game. With Samurai Warrior 5, with the numerous Yasuke content, like with Noi, none of this was there before. But now it's here. So you support the other characters of color, but you don't support the black guy of color. Tyrone Magnus. So by that law, you shouldn't support any of this game. You're not going to buy the game, so you shouldn't support any of the other color. This whole game, period. Why would you? Why would you support the other characters but not support Yasuke? But you're not going to buy the game. You shouldn't support any of the game, any color that they put in the game. You should have said that because they put this character in the game, I'm not going to support any of the game. I'm not going to support any of the colors because it wasn't done right completely. But you're going to support the other characters, but not support the one. You shouldn't support any of the characters. So again, Fung Bros, you could have used Asian men to counteract that. You could have used white men to counteract that, but you decided to use two black faces to counteract that. And I think I just broke their arguments because Tyrone Magnus keeps saying he don't want the other people of colors to support it, or he said he's gonna support the other people of colors, but he's not gonna support that one person. Let's go back. Let's take it back. Let's take it back because I don't want to misquote Tyrone Magnus. He's still my homie, but I don't want to misquote you, brother. Yeah, not a race trader, Tyrone Magnus. You're not a race trader. You're not a race trader. I wouldn't call you that. You just have your own opinions and own thoughts. Because guess what? I'm gonna have a thought on here on his YouTube about black culture and a couple of lives that I'm gonna show, and they might call me that. But I don't really care. But no, you're entitled to have your opinions. You're entitled to disagree with something and still be called and still not be labeled as a race trader. That shit is goofy in black culture amongst black men because you can have Asian men that disagree with each other and they still not consider each other traded to their own race or their own kind. That's stupid. But Cap, so you support all the other characters of color, but you don't support this character of color. If you're not going to buy the game, that means you're not going to support any of the characters of color. Okay. So Tyrone Magnus, when they were putting white male protagonists in prior games and in prior movie, or let's say in the context of video games and prior games, was that pandering? In Assassin's Creed Origins, which showcased in Egypt, Egypt is Africa. The original inhabitants of that area are black. Your color and my complexion. Were they pandering to the Egyptian color? Or were previous games outside of Assassin's Creed where they had white male protagonists, were they pandering to white men? Did you have that same energy with those? Because white men would be considered people of color. They're white. No, I do agree that they use the ice skate to pander and check boxes. I do agree with that. The only issue is now that was he a historical character or not? And I'm going to go into that. Go into that. But the thing is, he was an historical character. And as I showed you earlier, a retainer was a samurai. He may not have been a full blown samurai, but he was a samurai nonetheless. Then why would he just be a weapons bearer and not do anything? By that logic, Tom Cruise was a retainer. Tom Cruise in the Last Samurai was a uh, wasn't a fully blown samurai. But in that movie, they put him in a high position. He was able to lead other samurai. He was able to train with them. They gave him martial arts training, all that. He was even able to fall in love with the female Japanese person that was there. None of that was considered pandering, or Tyrone Magnus didn't have an issue with that. Do you support that movie, Tyrone Magnus? Let's continue. Hold on? Do you support Shogun? Because that white male protagonist, that's pandering to white male audience. Let's continue. Uh, just because they disagree with it, don't mean that I have to disagree with it. By Tyrone Magnus' logic and the brother before his logic, um, they're not buying the game. They're not supporting the game for their reasons, and I don't look at them as race traders. But because, say for example, I support the game because I'm going to buy the game and support the game. Um, don't mean that I agree with them because I'm going to show you other videos where there are Japanese gamers or people that do agree with the game. I'm going to show them to you. All right. So let's continue. Yeah, subscribe to the channel. No, they're not paying me. This person, they're not paying me. I'm not finna get them no free nothing. They gotta pay me for that. And that's at that point, that's why I agree with this where it's going and them pandering and them checking boxes. But in previous games, like Assassin's Creed Valhalla and with Assassin's Creed Odyssey with Cassandra and her brother, that was the same thing. Did they have a complaint? Then everybody still bought those games and supported those games. But this game, everybody's gonna boycott and not support it. Man, my boy Judge. My boy Infamous, bruh. I have a homeboy named Judge and Infamous. We like to crack jokes on each other. And he a Puerto Rican cat. He looked just like this dude right here. I'm about to start calling that nigga the fung bro. But um, if that was the case, you said that if you're gonna make a Japanese game, you want to see a Japanese male protagonist. Now, from an Asian man point of view, I can see that, and that is a fact that you have a Japanese Assassin's Creed or Assassin's Creed game set in Japan, and you would like to see a Japanese male protagonist represent that game. Now, if that was the case, you two should have had Japanese men leading that in the beginning of the video, but you used two black people. You should have used because white men are also saying that. So you should have used white men to lead that in the video. But they could have led with those two black guys because if they would have used white men to do it, it would have made them seem as if they were racist. But they could have still used Asian men to say that. Hey, listen. Honestly, I'm not taking no shots or jokes. Black people love Jackie Chan and Jet Li. Jackie Chan, Jet Li, uh, and a lot of other Japanese kung fu, like Bruce Lee and martial arts movies. Black culture has embraced those things and grew up watching those things, right? That's why when black folks and we watching Yasuke getting into this game from a so-called black male's perspective and other black men, to us it's not read as cultural appropriation because we've seen other faces being male protagonists of Japanese Asian movies and Japanese animes and Japanese games. So and we've embraced a part of Asian culture, Japanese anime. We've embraced martial arts movies. So for a lot of the other black gamers on YouTube that agree with this, to them, including myself, we didn't really see it as we wouldn't see it as an issue because you grew up watching different spectrums of men play protagonists of different cultures of games and movies. See what I'm saying? But to your point, yeah, we grew up watching Jackie Chan and Jet Li there's a couple other Asian martial arts movies and kung fu movies that we watched, like Bruce Lee, a popular one, um, that we grew up watching and loved, right? Like if you look at Rush Hour, right, with Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker, that was a culture clash right there. You know what I'm saying? That was a culture clash right there. And I think that was something that was meant to happen because, like I said, black men grew up watching Jackie Chan, black men grew up watching Jet Li, black men grew up watching Bruce Lee, and a lot of black men became martial artists and uh, became kung fu practitioners because of watching Asian martial arts movies, watching Jackie Chan. So it's like Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker was something that was supposed to happen in Clash or made to happen, right? So let's continue. And you know, some I agree with that. I could see where he's coming from with that. That none of the previous Assassin's Creeds ever had a Asian male protagonist, and now you have a game being set in East Asia or Japan. You kind of want to see your character be represented in the game, but at the same time, we never had a black male protagonist, and that's what I tend to agree with. Um, that's why I said, in my opinion, I agree with the crowd, the other segment of the crowd that says there should have been an African Assassin's Creed. because, and I think I explained that in a previous live, that you could have had Assassin's Creed with a African Assassin's Creed with black men had that energy of I'm gonna raise up and I'm gonna beat my oppressor. I'm gonna slay this European because you came over here and you enslaved my brothers, me and my brothers, and you put us in slavery and bondage. And now I'm gonna raise up and beat you and gain back my freedom. I would have preferred to see that than a Yasuke being set in East Asia or Japan. That even though he was a historical figure, nobody really knows what the fuck if he was a samurai or not. So I can agree with that point that he said. Set in Egypt, an Egyptian man. This right here, and Assassin's Creed set in the north. That native English man. Oh, that is true. The English man was actually French, to be honest with you. Hold on. Okay, so with this, Egypt technically is Africa. They could have put an African man in Egypt. An Egyptian man, Egypt being a diverse culture, and a lot of their ancestry has African in it. They could have put an African man in Egypt too up here, but they didn't. Why ain't nobody calling that? And I'm going to go into this later on in the video. No, I'm not saying that's what the complaint of the Asian community is. For this one, African men and Japanese women. Now, I'm not saying that that's what the how the Japanese or Asian media thinks or the Asian community thinks. But African man and Japanese women is definitely how white men in America think. And I think a lot of it is coming from the white male incels in the gaming community. African man and Japanese women, this is the issue right here. This is the main issue that the white American media or white American gaming media, and more specifically the white American incel gaming and media has with this. African man with Japanese woman. That's the issue. Oh, she's half Japanese. I did not know that. See, damn, y'all Asian folks, y'all know who's half breeds and who's not a half breed. That's crazy. Uh, okay. Hold on, hold on, hold on. I'm gonna counter that. Uh, Assassin's Creed historical accuracy. Watch this. This is from Ubisoft. While Assassin's Creed gamers have inspired and influenced by history, they are still works of fiction. As much as we like to believe it, Ezio Auditore never fought against Rodrigo and Caesar Borgia. Edward Kenway never unlocked the observatory, and the Freya twins never fought the Templars in London. All right. So they never read themselves off as trying to be historical accurate. So even though it has some historically accurate things in it, it's still a fiction. It's still fictional. And I think in the beginning of the game, it says that it puts that disclaimer that yeah, these things may be historical events, but they're still twisted and turned to be fiction. Look at this. So this is right. Assassin's Creed. While each Assassin's Creed game is heavily inspired and influenced by history, they are still works of fiction, as much as we like to believe. I think I read these before. So, all right. So let's go back to their video. So it's gonna be two videos I'm going to review, and then go into the criticals. Uh, they did do that. Assassin's Creed Origin. They put an Egyptian guy in there. So that is exactly what that comment was talking about. And two, to that guy that put that in there, they have always been white male protagonists in movies, video games set in other people's culture, like Glass Samurai and 47 Ronin, like Scott Adkins in Ninja, in the movie Ninja he did. So there's always been white male protagonists set in Japanese culture. And I'm gonna go into that a little bit later. So stick with me. Right? So for that to counteract that comment, that's already been done, bro. Hollywood and the gaming industry has a body of work with white male protagonists being the main character of different people's culture. One modern one is with Chris Helmsworth in Extraction, being set in India, where he's the main white male protagonist rescuing an Indian boy from his Indian father. And one of the other Indian male protagonists, he died off in that game, and he had a family to protect. So why are well, no, hold on. No, I said that about why are black gamers complaining about the accuracy? Did anybody complain about the accuracy of when people culturally appropriating your stuff? This is to the black gamers. Did anybody talk about the historical accuracy of Egypt and how they were originally black, dark skinned to black light skinned folks over there in Egypt? And no, did you complain about the accuracy of that when they're showcasing that all through Egypt? Look at all the movies in Egypt where they had Egyptian gods being portrayed as European. Did you complain about the historical accuracy of those? No, you watched those movies and you loved those movies and you accepted those movies. Now, in regards to Cleopatra, was she not Nubian? So it's funny how black folks are complaining about the historical accuracy of Assassin's Creed, a game that's fictional, but when they showcase you movies about actual events and they were European washing and whitewashing your African characters, y'all never complain about the historical accuracy of those. Now that's to the black gamers. Mm. I do agree with that. They should have used a Japanese character at that time that was famous at that time to sell that game. No, we have a movie out called Shogun. It's to his point. Uh, Shogun with John, I think John Blackthorne being a white male. Why didn't they put a white male protagonist in there as the main protagonist of the samurai? Yo, to the Fung Bros. I would love to put money on it that if they had made Yasuke a Jonathan Blackburn from Shogun, a white male protagonist, I guarantee you two cats that the white male gamers of the white male media would never have had an issue with this because the white male media in America their voices are louder than yours, and I guarantee you, I promise you, Fung Bros, that if it was a white male protagonist, you wouldn't hear the words like Tyrone Magnus used as people of color, and he would be buying the game. So would be the cat from the previous one. They would have the Tyrone Magnus and Kayada would have never challenged this game or any of the other black male gamers in the space. They would have never challenged this game if it was a white male protagonist. Because in Shogun, there is a white male protagonist. In The Last Samurai, it was a white male protagonist. And somebody could say, well, 2003, it was way in the past. Keanu Reeves' character, Kai, it was way in 2013 in 40 Ronin. But Shogun is recent, and they're going to continue the series on to 2026. So if they put a white male protagonist as a samurai in this Japanese game, the white American media, the black folks, black gamers in the gaming space, they would have never challenged that character. I would put fucking money on it that they wouldn't challenge the character. They wouldn't talk about people of color. They wouldn't talk about woke. They would not be talking about DEI. They wouldn't be talking about any of that stuff if the character was white. But we would never know. We would have to test this again. We'd have to make another Japanese game that was based upon historical evidence, set in Japan, and put a white male protagonist as the face of it to test it. That's the only way we test this. And Tyrone Magnus would have bought the game and he would have supported the game and he would have talked about pandering. Yeah, and I agree with that. I agree with that. Like if Japanese men wanted to push their culture, and I have a pushback to that. When the Japanese men want to showcase culture into an Assassin's Creed game, I agree with that point. It should have been a Japanese male character, some kind of Japanese male of that time, some type of samurai that served Old Naga at that time. He should have been put in the game. And I do agree with the point that I think that's not coming from black men in black male media. That's coming from white folks, European folks, European male media. They're doing that. And this is why we will agree with Tyrone Magnus and the brother. We're more with Tyrone Magnus, right? Is that uh, as black men, we cannot allow our image to be used to disrespect other people's culture by the liberal wokeism. We cannot allow that. We cannot allow that one. So, that's the European male thought. Because to the Chung Fung brothers, go do your homework about Hollywood, and you probably have. There's always been a massive push of white male protagonists and white men onto your Asian culture. It's always been that push in Hollywood. That's what the Western media is, and the white male images has what's been dominating media and the programming of for the past ever since Hollywood's inception. I don't know when Hollywood came into inception. I don't know its birth time, but that's what it has been. So you have to take that up with more the white American space, and in the case of Ubisoft with the it being in France or with the French. You have to take that up with them. You know what I'm saying? And my thing is that I'm tired of black men being part of these political bullshits and these political civil wars and these gaming civil wars and all this other bullshit. So that's what one of my other personal reasons why I disagree with this is that I'm tired of black men being being used and that we be in the center of um being the main focus point of a lot of these civil wars, a lot of because this right here is a Hollywood media civil war going on right here. You know what I'm saying? And the racists who are hidden, it gives them a chance to show their faces. Not saying that the funk bros that's their point of view or where they're coming from at it, but that's where a lot of the white men in the gaming spaces who are incels who have those racist mentalities, it gives them a chance for them to come up and say something. You know what I'm saying? So hey, but to say that with Shogun, right? One can make that argument about the white male guy, the white guy that's in there, that it's a way for a white male protagonist to introduce Japanese culture to the world. And to the funk bros, check out hip hop, check out dancehall reggae. You know what I'm saying? That's Japanese folks culturally appropriating or appreciating the culture of dancehall reggae to the point where they have a whole dancehall sound system. They have a Japanese dancehall sound system in Japan. That's very popular. It's a whole dancehall culture out there in Tokyo. Same goes for hip hop. You know what I'm saying? So that same logic can be applied to those things. But in this context, you're talking about gaming, right? And you brought up Shogun, which is movie media. They can use that same logic with Jonathan Blackthorne. And you said something. Let me and see, I can see what that's again. I can agree with that. I can agree with the Asian American audience, and then the Asian audience, the foreign Asian audience, like in Japan, China, etc. I can see where they're coming from. Like I can see where they're coming from with that being played in an Assassin's Creed game and that specific context. I can see what they were talking about because Assassin's Creed, you know, what I'm saying, as they said before, it always brought out some of the historical landmarks, some of the historical cultures of that game, and people were always fascinated how accurate or close to accurate Assassin's Creed comes to, in close proximity to bringing out, expressing that culture of that game. So I can see it. I can see what the Asian community, what that 60% is talking about from the if it's coming from the Japanese audience. I can see what they're talking about. Now the white male audience, I don't know why you have a bigger issue with this because I would understand from the Asian community why they should be the biggest voice or the loudest voice in this. And if they make that argument based upon what he's saying, I can agree to that. But see, this is where you have to see it from how black men feel. Not saying that you guys are because you guys are completely right. You're not wrong, but that's how black men feel. Have time when it's our time to shine, we have to take a back seat and watch Asian men or the Asian community or the white community or everybody else's culture take center stage and push our back. Even black women are out. They're putting black women in a bigger role and position more over black men. This is why when Miles Morales came up, like black men were happy with it, was fucking with it because we've never seen that. We never seen a black male character that was unique besides Static Shock or besides Static Shock or Blade for that matter, with Wesley Snipes. Those characters are very rare to see in a Marvel cinematic game or a DCU game. You see what I'm saying? So when we saw Miles Morales and then he came from fucking Brooklyn at that, my nigga. You know what I'm saying? And I was born in Brooklyn, East New York, Jamaican. So when I saw that, I was happy. So that's what a lot of black men feel, and I speak specifically to black men because our women are taking the shine over our image, and they're putting our women before us, right? So for black men with the black male image, that's how we feel. Every time it comes to our turn, we stand to get pushed to the back of the line, and I feel that way with Assassin's Creed Shadows with Yasuke. I feel that by them doing this, it's pushing black men to the back of the list too. Because what Ubisoft could come back and say is, well, we did put a black male protagonist, so we don't have to make an Assassin's Creed Africa. And then now it messes up with the Asian men because y'all never got to see an Asian male protagonist in your own culture of game, which I can see what that is. And I think eventually Asian men and so-called black men have to come to the table and actually talk about our own point of views from a logical, rational, factual, leaving all emotions out of it, and speaking from a logical point of view and come to an understanding with each other. Because I think the issue is that we're being played against each other in a chess game. We're being played against each other in a chess game, to be honest with you. And black men being I think, the most marginalized group in America. Our story is not being told from all aspects of black men, of black masculinity. It's only being told from the gangbanger, the thug, the LGBT one, and the dysfunctional side of black men. It's not being told from the black men that are actually good people in society, that are actually stand-up people in society. You see what I'm saying? So. Which is a very lazy, and I spoke on it earlier, it's a very lazy thing from Ubisoft. That is very lazy from Ubisoft, if that's what you were doing, Ubisoft. Which I disagree with that. You know what I'm saying? You did it properly with the previous games, as I mentioned, but in order to shortcut the game, you decided to blend the Asian and African, so you don't have to do something for the Asians and you don't have to do something for black folks. Now, my thing is to the Asian community, and this goes to the black community of whatever nationality, race, or creed you are. We have to stop relying on the gaming industry to make our image for us. We have to make our own images. And this is what's being told to black folks time and time again, especially with black men. This is on the head of black men. Black men, this is on us. So-called black men, this is on us. I don't care if you're Jamaican. I don't care if you're Caribbean. I don't care if you're Black American. It is on us to make our own media and push our own images that we want to push that best represent us. This is not on Assassin's Creed. This is not on white media. This is on none of them. This is not Marvel. This ain't on Sony. This is on nobody's. It's all us. We have the money and we have the power, we have the social media to do it and the influence to do so. This is another reason why I disagree with Assassin's Creed Shadows. Black men, we should not have to rely on a third party source to push our image. Because what's happening now is that we're disrespecting other people's culture. So let's continue. Not gonna watch this full video. I'm gonna challenge that in a bit. I'm gonna challenge that after I put the after the couple of videos I put. As I put earlier, Assassin's Creed is they say it's a work of fiction. So it's historical events, but it's a work of fiction. So that's funny. Hey, listen. I brought that up earlier, and I'm gonna bring up arguments to substantiate that later on. But that he's right. Jackie Chan, Jet Li, Bruce Lee. What's the brother in Thailand name? I forgot his name. He do a lot of Muay Thai base martial arts movie, and I think there's two of them. That's there. I know a lot of black folks. They love watching the movie Raid, Raid 1 and 2. A lot of black folks love watching movies from Thailand. I forgot their names, bro. And I'm gonna bring them up to substantiate this point. But he's absolutely correct. Asian movies, especially with kung fu, has always been able to sell to American media, American audience. You don't believe me? Why do white American men love going to Japan to seek after Asian women? Woo! I just said something. Japanese men have are it's foolish to it would be foolish to Ubisoft for them to say that the Japanese male image or the Asian male image doesn't sell when Jackie Chan, Jet Li, and a lot of the media being sold by Japan and China to the American audience has been very influential because a lot of white men love to go to Thailand and the Philippines and go to Japan and China to go marry pick on an Asian wife from these cultures. So that's very foolish of Ubisoft to say that. So wait a minute. So by that logic, Ubisoft's logic, by Ubisoft logic, why did you could have put why did you make one of the Japanese protagonists or a Japanese protagonist in Assassin's Creed Shadows? Why did you make that a female? So that you're saying that Japanese females, women, out China, outsell Japanese men? Or maybe that's a way to advertise Japanese women to Asian to white American men to continue to go to Japan to date or wife up Japanese women. I bet you I never thought about that. I'm gonna say that better. I'm gonna say that better. It's foolish for Ubisoft to think that a Japanese male image cannot sell, or a Asian male image period cannot sell Japanese culture or Chinese culture or any nationality of Asian culture when you have a body or buffet of Japanese anime or manga that have been able to sell to American media that has influenced a lot of white American men to go to Japan, China, and Thailand, and the Philippines to take on them an Asian wife. So maybe the reason why Ubisoft made it a female Japanese protagonist is maybe to advertise to white men to go marry a wife of Asian women. And that's like saying that the Asian female outshines the Japanese male. That's what that's saying, from my point of view. So Ubisoft, you're pretty fucked up if that's what you believe. That the Japanese male can't sell, but the Japanese female can sell, and you need a black character to sell your game. If that's the case, I agree with Tyrone Magnus. Woo! So I was right. I could be right on that. So you use a Japanese female as your Asian representation. The question is why? So you're saying that a Japanese female outsells a Japanese male? The question is why? And the reason I gave it might not be true, but it could be true. And that logic could apply to black men because a lot of black men consume a lot of video games with white male protagonists in it. Consume a lot of movies that have a lot of white male protagonists and being in other people's culture. That's why I can see it from the black gamer point of view, and I can see it from the black male point of view that watches the movies that probably didn't see an issue with a Yasuke in a Japanese game because we've seen so many. We grew up watching so many, seeing so many different races and nationalities and a cult and I would say races and culture and let me say it properly. We've seen so many different nationalities, races, cultures of protagonists being showcased in different cultures of games and movies. So I think that's why a lot of the black men in black men probably didn't see an issue with this because we grew up consuming Asian male representations in a white American movie or white American game, or we've seen Japanese, or we've seen white American male representation or protagonists in Japanese movies or Japanese animes or Japanese games. So that's why for black men, to his point that he said earlier, that when it came for us to be next in line, we were excited, especially with Miles Morales, because we have been used to seeing other people's culture being showcased in a lot of movies and games. That's I'm speaking from black cultures, from black males' perspective, right? Even with Jamaican men or Caribbean men grew up watching a lot of John Wayne and Western movies with white male protagonists. You know what I'm saying? White male protagonists fighting Indians or the Native Americans, white male protagonists and I'm talking about like the bloomer Jamaicans. If you go and review what a lot of the Jamaicans or Caribbeans of the bloomer generation, Gen X generation, and, yeah, especially a lot of the bloomer Caribbeans, when they had the black and white TV, that's all they had to consume was white American media. You know what I'm saying? So it is a bad excuse. What's POC mean? Oh, people of color? So you saying people of color. So you're saying that so I guess what he's saying is that because you have a lot of East Asian CEOs, meaning that they're in the top, they're running stuff, they're not considered as people of color. Well, no, they'd be considered people of color. So that no, they would be classified as people of color if they were East Asian. Then, so it's just there would be Asian people of color that are in the top that are CEOs. So that means that if you have CEO people of color, then no. That's goofy. If that's what Ubisoft believes that Asian men are not considered to be people of color because they're in CEO or positions of leadership. That's ridiculous. Because you got black male CEOs in America that are people of color. So that's a good logic by Ubisoft. So how you have how you have Asian men not be considered POCs, but Asian women considered to be people of color. Correction, Kanochi. Correction, Kanochi. However you say that word. Yeah, I was one of those guys too. I was cool with the Yasuke in there, and then you know when I see the LGBT boxes being checked, I said, okay, no, that is too much. Oh, to that motherfucker right there. Um, the same logic can be said about white media. Again, white media has always pushed their white men or white women, because white women are included, into Japanese anime or Japanese media. Ghost in the Shell, starred by Scarlett Johansson, that was a white American female. So you're telling by that case, white people should just watch white American media then and stop pushing their representation of white men onto other people's culture by that logic. To that comment that was being said. Yeah, he's absolutely correct. Western products, and not even that perspective. Western products being pushed on or inserted into other people's culture. You guys should have had this big voice back when with Last Samurai, but I think then you didn't have social media like you have now, so I guess you couldn't have a voice to speak on it that time. But did have social media back in 2013 with Keanu Reeves in The Last Samurai and Ghost in the Shell. This energy should have been around that those times. I'm just saying. That's one thing you could say about black people. Even though we never had any social media, our energy was loud in the '60s. Our energy was loud in the '80s and the '90s when they were fucking with our images then, outside of social media. So No. What? IGN? Somebody from IGN said that? I disagree with that. So why you don't like when we think that all Asian men know kung fu or martial arts? That's a stereotype. Why you don't accept that stereotype that y'all can whoop people ass? I can agree to that, but from black folks' point of view, we kind of believe that though, because like there's a discussion here in America where during the civil rights era where white America was using the Asian community to go against the black community. And I think with the Asian community, they were not aware of civil rights or the struggles of black folks. So they were using the Asian community as a way to suppress black Americans in a way, like a chessboard, right? And from what we've been able to see, we've seen Asian men come over here and get credit lines, free loans, free a lot of stuff, and not give black folks anything, especially in the recent event where during the COVID event that Asian Americans were able to receive reparations because of people not supporting their businesses during that time, the COVID time. You know what I'm saying? But we have things like Black Wall Street that where America dropped a bomb on Black Wall Street, a bomb on Black Wall Street, and I don't think black folks ever got reparations for that. See what I'm saying? So we kind of so for black from like what you said earlier, where next in line you was hoping to see an Asian male representation, but that's how Black Americans feel. That everybody else has been able to get reparations. Everybody else has been able to be pushed to the front of the line, where black men have to take a back seat or get the crumbs or the scraps from the table. See what I'm saying? So that's how because Caribbean black folks view Asian people in that light. Like because when you go to Jamaica or Trinidad, Asian men are treated as first class as opposed to where the homegrown Jamaican black man that has been there or the Trinidadian black man that's been there, they're treated as second or third class citizens. You see what I'm saying? So that's how we view it. That's how our black culture view it, or the black diaspora culture views it. But I can see from your point where you feel as if that um, Asian men have been having Asian privilege. But the reason why, from the black culture's point of view, whether it be the Caribbean black culture or Black Americans culture point of view, we see it that way is because that's how you've been treated that way in America and in the Caribbean. So, mm. All right. So let's look at. Let's see. Let's look at this brother here. Casper. So shout out to Casper Speaks, right? And to the brothers, to the Fung brothers in the previous video, right? You've had Ghost of Tsushima, Japanese mind right here. You've had Sekiro, and I bought this game. I haven't beaten it. I have to beat it. And you've had Shogun, and you have Ryona Kenshin, which is an anime that have showcased strong Japanese male representation. And the Western media has consumed this. Black culture has consumed these games and loved these games and these movies, and especially with anime, Rurouni Kenshin. If you go into a lot of black culture, especially in Brooklyn, Queens, the Bronx, and Harlem and Manhattan, and you go to the if you take a time machine and you go back in time, and you were to be like a fly on the wall, or you were to be having some clairvoyance, and you were just to watch a lot of the discussions that black folks have, or black kids at that time have, especially in the gaming space in on YouTube with cats like Angry Man. We used to have discussions about Ryota Kenshin and played Pokemon games and Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Black people. We've consumed a lot of your content where we have seen Asian male representation. So I like how you said that. I like how you said that. You said that maybe at Odunaga's time, because that event took place I think in the 1600s or something like that. And I think at that point, Odunaga, Obunaga was very. It was like a match that lit the flame of the unification of Japan. So he's a very important figure. So he was saying that maybe during that time, he was, Oda Obunaga was like, yo, we're going to hire this black guy as a samurai. So he was ahead of everybody else. This was in the 16th century and shit. None of this was historically accurate. So for the guys saying that Assassin's Creed was built this thing off being historically accurate, none of these actually happened. Leonardo da Vinci wasn't making motherfucking weapons for no damn assassins. And they didn't have no observatory or no animus. What's going on, Cloud? Heard that Dragon Ball? But When you say Dragon Ball, was Dragon Ball popular amongst the in general state, or was that popular because amongst black culture, Dragon Ball was very popular. Like you go on YouTube and hear from a lot of black YouTubers or gamers or whatever. They talk a lot about Dragon Ball Z. You know what I'm saying? They talk about a lot about Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Super, Dragon Ball GT. So amongst black culture, they have consumed Dragon Ball a lot. So I don't know about white American culture or the white media, but they have. I know black culture has consumed a lot of Dragon Ball. I think it was in the first attempt by Ubisoft. Yeah, yeah, like. But as the previous clip said, it's like Ubisoft was making the Japanese female character outshine the male Japanese character, which I disagree with that. So you're trying to say that Japanese women sell more than the Japanese male character, which I think I gave my reasoning on why I think that is because a lot of the Western white American men, they love going to Japan and China and Korea and all those Asian countries, and they love to indulge in Asian women. So maybe that's why, but that's my opinion. So maybe they're using the Japanese female to sell to white American audience, to the white American Western men, and probably that's what a lot of the incel white gamers in the incel community. That's why they have an issue. Uh, Me either. Um, I did like Odyssey's gameplay and fight mechanics, and I probably have to go play those games and do my review on those too. Um, I did like Assassin's Creed Valhalla's armor setting. I did like the armor. I did like weapons, but I wasn't really a fan of fight mechanics in there. Um, Assassin's Creed after Assassin's Creed 3, maybe after Assassin's Creed Black Flag, was it felt really chunky, like really like restrictive movement, not really too much parkour. Same thing with Ghost Recon. Ghost Recon. Ghost Recon is under the branch or umbrella of Ubisoft. So I would agree that Ubisoft has been on a lot of bullshit lately. The games. Ubisoft, a lot, Ubisoft was fucking up way before the pandemic. So I hate when these gaming studios like to say, "Well, the pandemic this or the pandemic." Nah, yeah, I was fucking up way before the pandemic. I ain't mad at you, Cloud. Like I have been feeling unimpressed by a lot of the Assassin's Creeds that have dropped, and Ubisoft likes to charge out the ass for their games. I played Assassin's Creed Mirage, and I was not impressed. I was bored out of my fucking mind with Assassin's Creed Mirage. So maybe with me, because I'm an OG video game player. I've been playing video games since Sega. Pops bought me my first console, Sega Dreamcast console, and I think when I was like 8, 9, 10, like in the late 90s, because I'm 32 years old. So maybe as an OG video game player, I'm not gonna be too impressed. You know what I'm saying? So maybe that's my problem. So he was written by historical people. So the argument that he wasn't an historical figure, that's bullshit. So to the white incels of the gaming community from Western American media, that's voices the loudest, y'all are full of shit. This meant when y'all say he wasn't a historical figure and wasn't historically accurate, it was written by missionaries, historical people, written in a book, written by another historical people, a chronicles. So, oh. So there was a white English samurai. Huh. A lot of the arguments being stated from the white male gaming community, who I think are incels, is that um, Yasuke was just a slave. He was a retainer. He wasn't really a fully blown samurai. And why would a Japanese let an outsider be a samurai? Well, apparently, a white Englishman was able to be a samurai, an outsider. Was he just a slave or a retainer? Retainer, I would like to argue. Oh, what? Bomboclat, Italian samurai and Dutch samurai? Huh? So to the Japanese, how do you feel about that? What if they had made Yasuke a Japanese, a Dutch, or an Italian samurai? Would the white American gaming audience have an issue with the game? I'm gonna pose that question because, as Casper Speaks said, there's been recorded history of English, Italian, and Dutch samurai. What if they had made a white male protagonist part of the main character of Assassin's Creed Shadows, along with this character, the Japanese female character? Would the white American audience have a big as of issue with this as they do with Yasuke? So to the Asian community, you have to ask yourself the question, because I guarantee the Western audience would not have a big issue, as big as issue with this if this was a white male protagonist. So we could say that those Dutch or Italian samurai or the English samurai was the same thing according to that logic. And look at this quote. He said the fact that the most famous samurai in the world today was neither a documented samurai nor Japanese is worrisome to a lot of people. Japanese history is being destroyed by people such as yourself. It's not about Yasuke, but rather the woke colonialism of Japanese history. Well, he just said that there were Italian samurai, there were Dutch samurai, and there were English samurai. So was that a destruction of Japanese history, of European colonialism? So if they had made those characters famous samurai, would that be an issue still? Hey, hey, to the white male gaming community, your racism is showing. No, I haven't. I'm gonna go check that out too. What, the Metatron latest video about Yasuke? No, I haven't. I'm going to go look that up. I should go look it up right now. So I'm gonna make this play, and I'm gonna look up what you're talking about. Recognizing it's a lot of black gaming. There's a lot of white male samurai, white male incest about this game. Metatron. Oh, yes. Uh, to Cloud. To Cloud, I did see his video. And what's funny about Metatron is that he did videos years ago prior to this event talking about Yasuke. So hold on. So I'm gonna let this play. Let me pause this video. Stick with me, Cloud. Let me go look up Metatron. I did see his damn video. 10 fascinating facts about the samurai debunked. Let's see. Metatron. Let me see. He did. I did watch his video, and I could have swore that he talked about. Let me see this. Shout out to Metatron. Oh, yeah. Mm, mm. Okay. Oh, the new one? Let's see. Oh, this one. Uh-oh. Playback going on. Oh, what's happening? Oh, there we go. It's fixing this up. So shout out to Metatron. Subscribe to his channel. Check him out. Um, wow, they fucking with him. They're fucking with him. To this comment, Assassin's Creed never claimed to be historical. This guy is saying Cleopatra is black all over again. Well, that part of where Cleopatra was, she was supposed to be some kind of Nubian, and the Nubians were of dark complected skin. What a lot of those Europeans did at that time in Egypt was knock off a lot of nose of those nigger noses off of those sphinxes and do a lot of whitewashing, the European washing. So, don't know why you're so upset with Cleopatra being black in a continent called Egypt, full of dark skin or dark to brown skinned black people. I think the Europe. You know what? I'm not even gonna get into that. Female characters are just a gender swap. Y'all just watched. Y'all were just watching a series called Shogun with a bunch of female assassins in it. Come on. All right, so I'm gonna play this video. He has a whole video game arcade in his back. In the back. Yo, he a OG in the game. He in the OG. He OG in this bitch too. See, what I gotta do is I gotta get me an old VHS, old DVD player, and just go on a quest of collecting DVDs and game consoles from those days. That's what I gotta do. That's probably gonna be one of my projects and shit. Man, yo, shout out to them. Yo, he got the original Game Boy. What? He a OG with it. Let me pause the video. I want to go into what the definition of woke is real quick, because woke was something that was originally pro-black, and it morphed itself into some liberal wokeism bullshit. Woke meaning, all right, going to Webster. Woke. This is what woke represented to the pro-blacks in the in during Jim Crow, during the 80s, during the 90s, during the 60s, during the 70s, during the 50s. And we're of an actively attentive important societal facts and issues, especially issues of racial and social justice. But we only proceed to if we reject the growing pressure to retreat to into I don't know how to read that, so I'm not going to pronounce it. We have a more obligation to stay awoke, take a stand, and to be active, challenging injustices and racism in our communities and fighting hatred and discrimination wherever it rises. This is what woke meant to the pro-blacks. And if you go look up like the Nation of Islam, you go look up Malcolm X, you go look up the Black Panthers. This is how they carried woke at that time. What woke is today, however, is um see this go here, right here. This is what woke is today. Woke is a slang adjective derived from African American vernacular English, originally meaning alertness to racial prejudice and discrimination. Beginning in the 2010s, it came to encompass a broad awareness of social inequities such as racial injustice, sexism, and the denial of LGBT rights. Now, sexism is a feminist thing, and LGBT rights, that's a gay thing. I don't like these two things being in the same sentence of what African Americans, especially black men, who were the center of racial discrimination and violence during that time. I don't like these things being in the same light because it's a disrespect and cultural appropriation, now that we're talking about it, of black culture and black men. And it's a disrespect and the spit in the face of black men and black masculinity. Because black men during the 60s, Jim Crow, black men before that during slavery, black men during the 80s and the 90s really face some extreme violence and bullshit from white America. Because a lot of sexism and LGBT, a lot of that is white liberals. A lot of these white liberal cities passed a lot of laws that suppressed black men and fucked with black men, especially here in New York City. So that's why I don't like LGBT and sexism being in the same sentence of woke. Find your own definition in your own shit. Now, to go back to my man Metatron. That's exactly what they wanted him to say. That he was just some slave, because that's what I hear from a lot of the white male incel in the gaming community. They express that. They put emphasis on that Yasuke was just a slave. When you have literature that say that he wasn't just a slave. And I agree with that. I agree with it. This is why me personally, I disagree with Assassin's Creed Shadows game because it's causing this effect, and black men are the center of it. A black male image has become the center of this polarization, woke, political propaganda bullshit, and I dislike it. So here we go again, black men. Where now we're going to be the main focus of this whatever bullshit. And I agree. I pander to the facts and the truth. And the truth of the matter is, nobody knows if Yasuke was a samurai or he was a slave. Nobody knows. That's the facts. It's all speculations. So for those of you guys saying he wasn't a samurai, he was just a slave, he was neither a slave either by that logic if you don't know who the fuck he really was. Then he wasn't a slave either. If he wasn't a samurai, then he wasn't a slave. Because you don't know. It's speculation. I want to remind you guys to click the like, click the share, subscribe, support the channel, donate, share me on your social media. Don't hide me. I want this channel to grow and cultivate. Right? I want to be where Metatron is. I want to be where in the billion subscribers. I want to surpass Mr. Beast in this bitch. So it starts off by you guys clicking the like, clicking the share, so the algorithm can pick me up. Right? I agree with that. I can sit up here and say, yeah, he probably was a warrior because the Portuguese Jesuits that brought him there, he was a bodyguard to them because the Jesuits they didn't believe in violence or anything like that. So I could agree with that because according to the history that Yasuke was brought to I think India and somewhere else, and he was brought to. So I agree that he was a warrior. He may not have been a full blown samurai. We don't know that or not, but he was a retainer to Oda Obunaka. So yeah, William Adams was given the title samurai. You ain't hearing on none of these white male audience saying, arguing over the historical accuracy of William Adams or the new one with Shogun. Also, we don't know. We don't have any overwhelming evidence that he was just a slave. So we don't know if he was a slave, and we don't know if he was a samurai. So to those white male incels in the gaming world, stop saying he was just a slave. You don't know if he was that. Yeah. Ain't none of y'all white male incels in the gaming community was concerned about Japanese history until now. Now y'all want to be Japanese historians and shit, and professors and shit. Hey, Cloud. He could be in this. He could have a he could be one of those assassins like in Assassin's Creed Valhalla, where what's his name? He was in Mirage. I forgot the character's name, but he was just locked into like a time capsule and shit. And he was just riding out the past, present, and future and shit. And here you go now on YouTube. You could be right. He could be an assassin too. You don't know. Let me not fuck with Metatron. He might assassinate me or something. No did he? Yeah. Hold on. Stipend, a private residence, etc., and was given a short sword with a decorative sheath. He is sometimes seen in the role of weapon bearer. Now, stipend could be similar to a fief. A fief is something that if you go watch Shogun, it's like getting gold and money and like similar to a stipend, a place of residence. Now, a retainer now, you can also pay a retainer to be of service to you. So a stipend can be been something that Odo Obunaga paid as a retainer fee for Yasuke. Because if you go look up what a retainer is, let me look it up for y'all. Retainer. Google retainer. Let's look up retainer. Retainer. Share this. A fee retainer. This is from the Oxford retainer. A fee paid in advance to someone, especially an attorney, in order to secure or keep their services when required. He was a retainer as a consultant. So that fief or that stipend could have been paid to Yasuke as a retainer fee, right? Let's look up fief. Fief. Fief, a source of income granted to a person called a vessel by his lord in exchange for his service. The fief is usually consisted of land and labor of peasants who were bound to cultivate it. Fief. Let me look up retainer. Look up what a retainer was. Share this. Retainer. A suit of retainer armor. Retainer refers to a vessel in feudal Japan, usually a samurai providing military service. Connect those dots. All right. So let's go back to my man Metatron. Now, I agree with all this knowledge, but in my opinion, I disagree with the move from Ubisoft to go with a black samurai because a it puts black men at the center of this political bullshit, woke culture, all this other garbage, and b it disrespects Japanese people if they had wanted a Japanese protagonist in a Japanese game in Assassin's Creed. And then now all black men get to be is the center of hate from the white male incels in the gaming community. That's why I disagree with this move. But I like how everybody's debunking the arguments surrounding the game, especially this thing with the retainer, or if he was a slave, or blah 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 blah. But anyway, I'm not gonna watch this guy's whole video. So shout out to Metatron, but I'm gonna go into something else. I want to go into because I don't really want to spend too much time on this, but I want to go into something else. I want to go into this. So for to the Japanese culture, if you believe that you were not being represented or that you were not able to represent yourself, I want you to take a look at this. This is Japanese video games, right? This is Japanese video games that black culture most definitely have been consuming. There are plenty of black folks that play the Nintendo, listen to Japanese music and all that other good stuff. Dreamcast. A lot of black culture had a Dreamcast, had a PlayStation, had a Nintendo. What you call a Nintendo Game Boy or the Nintendo Switch. A lot of black culture has consumed a lot of Japanese games, right? Let me share this tab. So a lot of black culture has consumed a lot of Japanese games, right? Let's go back to this right here. Video games in Japan. These games here has been consumed by Western culture. You know what I'm saying? A lot of these games. Look at Kirby. I grew up playing Kirby. Super Mario Smash Brothers. Mega Man. Rockman. You know what I'm saying? We grew up playing a lot of Japanese games. So to say that Japanese men, you never had a proper representation, especially in the Western market, you'd have to take a second look at that, especially amongst black culture. Um, let me. I was gonna go discover something else, but I'm not gonna do that because I think I spent enough time on this and a lot of energy on doing this. Um, let's look at Jet Li. Jet Li. He was just in the movie Expendables. He was in Milan War, Cradle to the Grave with DMX, Forbidden Kingdom, Expendables, Kiss of the Dragon. Yeah, I love watching Kiss of the Dragon. Romeo Must Die. This is he started this with Aaliyah. Um, Aaliyah was a female musician, a very loved female musician in Black American culture or in the Western culture, right? And we had no hate for Jet Li. So there always been proper male representation or Asian male representation in Western culture. Share this time. Jackie Chan, The Karate Kid with Will Smith's son, Rush Hour, Police Story, The Foreigner. Um, I think Police Story was set in America too. Jackie Chan. Yo, a lot of black folks grew up on watching Jackie Chan Adventure. You know what I'm saying? Oh, there's a Karate Kid too. Oh, it's probably not coming. Oh, Rumble in the Bronx. You know what I'm saying? Damn, Jackie Chan has left a body of work. So shout out to Jackie Chan, bro. Um, Jason Statham. I want to bring this up. The Meg. Well, this is recent, but Transporter, right? Let's look at Transporter. I don't know if it's Transporter 201. I think Transporter. They had an Asian female in Transporter. Play the trailer. Look at that. I wish they had a better trailer. Let me go look up for the Transporter trailer. Oh, I didn't share the clip. Hold on. Give me a second. Video details. Oh, yeah, but Transporter. Give me 1 second. Shit got take time to load the fuck up. No, my point is that in black culture, when we're watching these movies, we're used to seeing, you know, seeing shit like this. Look at that. We used to growing up seeing this. We grew up watching this shit. We grew up watching this thing. Look, you know what I'm saying? So this is what black culture we've consumed or Western culture we've been consuming. We grew up watching Jason Statham be the main protagonist in this show and him getting the Asian bitch or whatever. So that's probably why a lot of black men on YouTube who are talking about or in agreement to Yasuke beating the game. That's why they probably don't see an issue with it because we grew up consuming this type of media, right? Let me look at some Dolph Lundgren movies. Share this. Dolph Lundgren. Um, Damn, shout out to Dolph Lundgren. Where is that movie? Where's the Little Tokyo? There we go. Showdown in Little Tokyo. You know what I'm saying? Showdown in Little Tokyo. Look, Showdown in Little Tokyo. I'm not gonna play the trailer because I'm kind of getting bored. I'm trying to end this live and shit and go eat something. Asian chick, Asian dude. He plays as Shang Tsung, so shout out to Shang Tsung. You always listen. This character is always gonna be Shang Tsung to me, right? Let's look up Jean Claude Van Damme. How many of these like kickboxer? Look at this. Kickboxer is is Jean Claude Van Damme. I think he went to Thailand to learn Muay Thai. Look at that. So to the Asian community, you have to take this issue up with. And Jean Claude Van Damme went to Thailand to beat the main master Thai kickboxer, the main Thai guy. So he went to their culture, kicked the main guy's ass, the antagonist. So the protagonist was the white male, the antagonist was the Thai guy, and he got the Thai bitch. So to the Asian community, you have to take this up with Hollywood, bro. I just wish that black men, our face was not being used for this. You know what I'm saying? Because now we're at the center of another culture war. So it may be a symbol, but it lacks. It's not the right symbol, and too much wokeism is behind it, right? Um, with that being said, I'm gonna end it here, and um, yeah, to Asian men, I understand how you feel. I get it how you feel that you're saying you want the proper Asian representation in your games. But like I said, we've always seen Japanese male or Japanese men being represented in like Resident Evil. Well, I think with Resident Evil, it was more of like a American feature kind of game, but Western I think what more Western looking protagonists, except I guess for Tiffle, which looks more Japanese. But look at Devil May Cry. You know what I'm saying? Tekken. You know, Final Fantasy, Elden Ring. I guess. You know what I'm saying? These are all games. Look at Pokemon. Pokemon. You know what I'm saying? These are all things that represents Japanese culture and Japanese men. Ryu. You know what I'm saying? You look at this picture right here. Black Americans, we've done this similar thing here. We have done this similar thing. I have done this similar thing. I have cousins that we used to get around and go. I used to go over to my aunt's house and we used to play Nintendo games just like this. Nintendo, Super Nintendo, just like this. Nintendo 64, just like this. There's not a black guy person in black culture that never played Super Mario. Well, Super Mario was an Italian. That's what's funny about it. So maybe, hey, Asian men, you might be correct. But then again, what was Link? And the Samus was a chick, a blonde-headed chick, made by Nintendo. Princess Peach was a blonde. I don't know. Link was a blonde with blue eyes. I guess Ash was more typical Asian though. Asian though, right? Look at all of these, right? So Elf, check-in. You know what I'm saying? Again, you can find a lot of, if you take a time machine and you go back in time, there's a lot of black culture that did exactly this here, right? So, with that being said, my name is Kish Shorty Gamer Nation. Like, share, subscribe, support. You know, by you supporting, by you support my channel, you help me get out to the YouTube algorithm, so I can one day be as big, or even surpass Mr. Beast, surpass the Angry Man channel, surpass a lot of folks on this motherfucker. So hit the like, hit the share, hit the subscribe. My name is Kish Shorty Gamer Nation, and I'm out.